Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. How are we doing tonight? Let's hear it. Well, I'm Ryan Davis. I'm the Executive Director of KQED Live, which is our live events programming here at KQED Studios and around the Bay Area. We host talks, screenings, food tastings, game shows, political debates, you name it. We cover life in the Bay Area in ways that are live and gather people together to experience it in common. You can find out about all the events that we've got going on at kqed.org/live. Is anybody here a KQED member? Yes. Well, thank you all so much. I want to say it is because of you that KQED is able to do everything that it does. And we're really grateful for the support that you provide to your local public media. And if you're not yet a member, you can always become a member. It comes with a lot of great benefits, including getting early access to all kinds of live events that we do and a number of other perks. You can see just a few of those here. If you want to, give it a look. And last, I'd like to thank the sponsors that also support making all of our programming here on stage and in spaces around the Bay Area possible. They're Comcast Business, they're Genentech, and they're the San Francisco Symphony. You saw a few words from each of them before the show, and we just want to thank them for their support of our mission of civic and cultural engagement. Now, without further ado, you're here tonight for a look at Fixit Clinics. And I am here to introduce your host, Erica Cruz Guevara, who is the host of KQED's award-winning local news podcast, The Bay. Before that, she was the show's producer, and her work in that capacity included a 3-part reported series on policing in Vallejo, which won a 2020 Excellence in Journalism Award from the Society for Professional Journalists. Erica has worked in breaking news reporting at Oregon Public Broadcasting. She's helped produce NPR's Code Switch podcast, and she was KQED's inaugural Raul Ramirez Diversity Fund intern. And she's also an alumna of NPR's Generation Radio program. Please welcome to the stage your host, Erica Cruz Guevara.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Erica Cruz Guevara. I'm the host of the Bay podcast. Can I hear from any Bay listeners in the crowd there? Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to actually be able to interact with you all in person and in this space. And who's here to fix some things? Oh, yeah. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about the idea behind this event. Last year, 2024, one of our most listened to episode of The Bay was an episode that we did with KQED reporter Azul Dahlstrom-Ekman, who reported on a Fixit Clinic in Redwood City. And people were invited to bring a broken item, roll up their sleeves, and get help trying to fix their broken items. And these Fixit Clinics are happening all over the Bay Area all the time, as many of you in here know. And it's part of this larger movement called the Right to Repair movement that is gaining traction nationwide. And last summer, California actually became the 6th state to enact what is known as a right to repair law, requiring manufacturers of appliances and electronics to give us consumers the tools that we need to fix our own stuff. And I think we could all agree that there is a lot that needs fixing in this world. And I think when I think about why this episode resonated so much with people, I think it's because people want to feel empowered. They want to feel empowered to fix things, and they want to be able to do that with people in their community. Even if it is about just fixing a broken crock pot or lamp. So maybe that's why you're here today, and I want to introduce you all to some of the folks behind this really incredible and amazing movement. Many of you all are here in the audience as well, but some of the real leaders behind the Right to Repair movement here in the Bay Area are here with me today, and I'm going to introduce them on stage. And then we're going to see what Fixit Clinics actually look like and sort of recreate that as much as possible in this space. So let me introduce you all to some of the folks behind this movement here in the Bay Area and the KQED reporter who covered it. Please give me a warm welcome to the stage, Peter Mui, Samantha Nunez, Liz Chamberlain, and KQED's Azul Dahlstrom Ekman. All right. Peter Mui, to my right over here, founder of the Fixit Clinic in Berkeley in 2009. I want to start with you. You have since hosted, this is a wild number to me, 750 in-person Fixit clinics at schools and libraries and online. And these are, of course, these community-led, hands-on troubleshooting experiences. And while fix is in the name, that's not really the only goal, right?
No, I think the main goal is to convey highly generalizable critical thinking and troubleshooting skills that are applicable way beyond the broken thing in front of people.
And take me back to 2009 when you first started these Fixit
clinics. So Fixit Clinic is kind of this hobby of mine that's gotten way out of control. Originally, the first event was just an attempt. I had noticed that a lot of common household appliances, what you would call domestic electrics, had specialty fasteners holding them together. Some sort of trick that you needed in order to even get the thing open, so when it broke, it became very, very hard to fix. So the first Fixit Clinic was just really an attempt to put those tools out so that people could take stuff apart, broken stuff apart, just so we could interrogate it internally. And lo and behold, not only could we get a lot of stuff open, but a lot of stuff was fixable as well.
And can I ask, Peter, 750 in-person Fixit clinics.
Well, so there have been about 1,500 Fixit clinics around the planet. The 750, I don't think I've been to that many myself.
Okay.
But if I have, then it's really gotten way out of control.
Well, Azul Dahlstrom Ekman, you reported on Fixit clinics for KQED. And you actually got to go to one of these spaces, experience it for yourself, and they really are an experience for those who have not been. What stood out to you from your reporting on these clinics?
Yeah, I think the first thing that stood out to me was just sort of the culture around Fixit clinics. It's a Saturday morning, it's early, but you get there, I got there a little bit early, and there were a dozen and a half volunteers there, and they were all excited to help people fix things. There's sort of this funny rituals that go along with Fixit clinics. Like before they start, everyone puts their hand in and goes like, fix, 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 hooray. And then the guests started coming in, and you get people from all over. This one was in San Mateo County. There were people that had driven 25 miles, over from Moss Beach or places like that. And they'd all come bringing these things that were important to them, a toaster, a pachinko machine, a vacuum, an air purifier. And then there was this other sort of ritual greeting. Once you got there, the person that checks you in would say, hey, everyone, here's Karen and her magic bullet blender. And everyone goes like, hey, Karen. So it's really like this special culture. And then once the guests start doing their thing with the coaches, they're led to a coach, and people are sort of talking with their coaches. They're paired with them, and the coaches are actually like helping them do the repair. And
they're not doing it for you.
No, they're not doing it for you, and that won't be happening tonight either. They'll be helping you, just so you know. And you get a sense of this intense connection that people have with the things that they bring. One person brought a waffle maker from 1950 that they said, my grandkids love the waffles that this waffle maker makes. And then eventually, if it gets fixed, there's this kind of contagious air of excitement and people leaving really happy that they can, repair something.
Yeah, we love it when we see that stuff. The provenance of something like that, everyone's really highly motivated to get something like that working again, with the hopes that their great-great-grandchildren will be using that same waffle maker. Because it's a very simple, basic thing. It's easy to fix. Once you understand it, there's not that many complicated parts in it. And those things should basically last eternally, in my mind.
Liz Chamberlain, Director of Sustainability at iFixit. You work on advocacy efforts and right to repair legislation around the world. Can you just, on a very basic level, what is right to repair legislation?
right to repair is the idea that you should be able to fix everything you own. You should be able to take it wherever you want to get it fixed. You should be able to fix it yourself. And manufacturers shouldn't be able to throw up roadblocks in your way by making parts hard to access or withholding repair documentation from you or putting software blocks in your way. And my company, iFixit, started in 2003 when our co-founder dropped his Mac laptop off his dorm room bed, bent the power plug, couldn't find a guide for how to fix it. He took it apart himself, figured out how to fix it, and then wrote a guide, took pictures of it, and put that online, and found that a lot of people had the same problem. They wanted to be able to fix Mac stuff and couldn't get the parts, couldn't find the guides, and really there was sort of a groundswell of excitement about this, and we started hearing about so many other products that have the same problem, have weird connectors like Peter was talking about, or strange screw types. And it's really a global problem that manufacturers have been limiting our ability to fix things because it's big business for them. They're able to sell us more things if we can't fix the stuff that we already have. Mm. So right to repair legislation is fighting for your right to get access to parts, tools, documentation, the software, everything that you need to be able to fix your stuff.
And Peter, I feel like something you're just sort of illustrating, Liz, is like a very shared experience, a sharing of knowledge, and I feel like that also is really what is happening at Fixit clinics too, right?
So at an ideal Fixit clinic, the role of participant and Fixit coach blurs, and everyone's just helping everybody else out, because everybody knows something about something. And like I said, mostly we're flying with no net, okay? We don't get support from the manufacturers with schematics or engineering diagrams, service manuals. We're just trying to figure this out together. How did this thing come together, designed for manufacturing, and now we have to disassemble it so that we can fix it. So getting everybody involved in the room in that sort of way. I mean, my goal is to assimilate all of you to be repairers at future Fixit Clinic events.
Be prepared, y'all. You are being recruited. Samantha Nunez, I want to bring you in here. You are the Student IT Project Manager at the Oakland Unified School District, where you work with young students who are working with Oakland Unified's Tech Repair Summer Program. This is essentially the next generation of tinkerers and repairers. What role are these students playing on campus?
Yeah, so our students are the heart of the program. They ensure that every OUSD student has a working computer, both at home and at school. So not only they gain these repair skills, but they also help their community while also reducing e-waste.
And this program is interesting because it really came out of COVID, right? I mean, if you all just remember that time, when students were just given laptops and were sent home to do school at home.
Right, yeah. I know, I can't believe that was like 5 years ago. It's crazy, but yeah, so back in 2020, teachers were just grabbing computers from their carts and just giving them to students to take home for online learning. And fast forward to 2021, when we went back to in-person learning, we knew we were going to receive all sorts of computers and just crazy, things, like broken keyboards, screens, headphone jacks. So thankfully we had COVID relief funds to help start this program. And that's kind of where it started. And our first summer program was in 2021, and we had 38 students just going to schools in the span of 5-6 weeks and just make sure that every classroom had a working computer. So, yeah.
And why have students do this as opposed to maybe an, IT guy?
Yeah, so we collaborate with tech services, but we wanted to make this program to not only help tech services, but also expose these opportunities to our kids who may be interested in doing this long term, or for that student that doesn't know what they want to do after high school, and this particularly calls their eye. So we want to make sure that every student has opportunities like this.
And have you found that there is actually a lot of interest among young students to do this kind of work?
Oh, for sure. I feel like now that technology is advancing, there's a high demand in our program, and we're excited to receive that, and hopefully we can expand in the future. But yeah.
Is there like a turn that you see in these students when they do have the opportunity and actually do get to fix something?
Oh, yes, yeah. Very excited. They're just seeing the joy in their faces when they get to repair something, or maybe something that they didn't think they were able to repair. They feel very proud of themselves to the point where they share with their peers too, with their friends, with their teachers, staff at their school, sharing this excitement, this proudfulness that they feel, and sharing that knowledge as well with others. So, yeah.
And Liz and Peter, you both actually had an opportunity to work with some of these students, right? I mean, what was that like?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of these pictures are from this event that we held in July when the California Right to Repair bill went into effect, and we were kind of celebrating the fact that as Californians, we can go and ask manufacturers for parts, tools, and documentation. And I'd heard about the Oakland Unified program and thought it would be really cool to have them join for this celebration. These students are incredible fixers. Really, any of them could be coaches at a Fixit Clinic.
And we have some of them in this room.
We have some, yeah. We have 3 today.
Liz, I do want to kind of come back to you because I think a phrase that I learned when Azul came on our show to talk about right to repair was a phrase that I had never heard before, planned obsolescence, which is something that you, I think, were alluding to a little bit earlier. This idea that, and I think this acceptance that we almost have as a society that, like, after a couple of years, I'm gonna need to upgrade my iPhone and get a new one. Or after 10 years with my laptop, I'm gonna have to throw it away and buy a new one. This sort of acceptance that none of our technology is built to last anymore. But I wonder what role you see consumers playing in sort of helping push for the success of right to repair laws in places like California.
Yeah. Consumers pushing for the California Right to Repair law was huge in it getting passed. And that's been true for all the laws that we've supported around the country and around the world. Going to your legislators and saying, I want to fix this thing, I can't get the things I need to fix my thing. They listen to that. The state senator who ran the California bill, Susan Eggman, heard from her constituents over and over again that they needed to fix things, couldn't get what they needed. So I think telling your legislators, I'm wearing this repair.org shirt, we have a tool where you can go contact your legislators. So in California, we have the right to fix appliances and electronics and wheelchairs as of last year, but not other medical devices, not all kinds of other things. So, absolutely you can go to tell your legislators what kinds of things you want to fix and what problems you're having, getting the materials you need.
And Erica, there's also another term I'd like to tell you about. Not only is there planned obsolescence, but there's also perceived obsolescence, which is basically like where Apple comes out with a new iPhone every year, and it's making you feel like you need something new, even though the thing you already have is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to my iPhone mini. The new ones are too big for me.
Same.
Peter, this makes me wonder, what is like the weirdest thing someone has brought to a Fixit clinic?
You are not the first person to have ever asked me that question. And so the 2 that come to mind are a Geiger counter, which measures radiation for those of you, and then someone bought a parrot backpack. Not a backpack for a parrot, a backpack where they could carry the parrot around on their back. So, yeah.
Were you able to help?
Yeah, it was just, that was just, the parrot had pecked through it in a million places.
Okay.
Yeah. The Geiger counter, we don't know if we fixed it because we didn't want to check for the radiation levels to know whether or not that was actually.
Well, I mean, Liz, you are in an interesting position now, both advocating for legislative change and also working with these manufacturers who are increasingly being asked to give us the tools we need to fix our own stuff. What are those conversations with manufacturers like these days?
Yeah. So when iFixit started in 2003, we were kind of screaming into the void. Manufacturers really didn't want to talk to us about making repair materials available to people. And they would tell us that it wasn't planned obsolescence. They would, they were not purposefully trying to make our stuff hard to fix. But still, they weren't interested in making materials available. But even before laws started to pass supporting right to repair, we knew, and manufacturers knew, that those laws were going to happen. They were seeing the groundswell of support. They were hearing from people about how much it matters to them. And so about 4 years ago, we started to have some manufacturers come to us and say, okay, well, if we want to do this thing right, if we want to get repair materials to people, how do we do that? And so we now actually are working with Google Pixel. We're their official repair parts distributor. We just launched a Microsoft Xbox parts partnership. The conversations with these companies have really changed. It's gone from, we would hear sort of murmurings from engineers at big companies that they were interested in making more repairable stuff, but, silence from up top. And now we're getting people from the C-suite calling us and saying, really, we want to do this and we want to do it right. We want to not just comply with the law, but actually make it possible for people to fix things. So it really has changed.
I guess what has changed? Is it just the increased knowledge among us, the consumers, that and maybe even a desire among consumers to fix their own stuff?
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, I think people are fed up with not being able to fix things. They're frustrated by running into blocks. They're sick of the cycle of feeling like when something breaks, you have to buy something new, or this black rectangle doesn't look really any different than the last black rectangle I had. So, why do I need a new one? And I think that combined with the pressure of legislation on the other side, manufacturers knowing that they will have to provide things to people, has changed their tune.
I mean, that said, I wonder, Peter, if you feel like the right to repair movement and the thing that you're doing, maybe you're a little too in it, but do you feel like a lot of people know that this is a thing that they have access to?
It's moving mainstream. The right to repair is now passed in 5 states in the United States, and among those 5 states, given their population density, means that 22% of the U.S. population now has some sort of right to repair law. So that may be moving to that place where it becomes critical mass and steamrolls and becomes more popular. At this point, what we're really trying to do is just convey this idea that repair is possible. Because a lot of people don't even think it's possible. They think that once it breaks, they really have no choice but to throw it away. And we're trying to basically create this path to a road, off-road, where they can think about, well, maybe I can keep this thing in service.
Azul, as a reporter who reported on Fixit Clinics, what were your conversations like with people you were telling this story about? I mean, did you get the sense that this is a culture and a thing that people are aware of and are talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look to, the work that Fixit Clinic's doing, where they have a Discord server of, where it's connected internationally. There's people in Africa or South America, right, that are logging in, and they're either helping other people complete a repair by giving advice on a forum, or they're sending a link saying like, hey, I'm working on this thing. Does anyone have any advice? So I think there really is a culture around it, and so and it's in America, it's international, and certainly here it's local. I mean, I think here in the Bay Area, we have this kind of maker, techie sort of culture where repair comes really naturally to a lot of people. Here in Silicon Valley, there's programmers, there's engineers, and a lot of the people that were working at or volunteering at the Fixit Clinic when I went, were software engineers, people that like to tinker, giving some of their free time to be part of that.
I mean, Samantha, for the students at OUSD, how are they learning these skills? Because at these Fixit clinics, there's a lot of sharing of knowledge, right? How are the students picking up on how to fix?
So our students get trained with tech services in the summer, and then in that during the summertime, they get past those skills within each other, So the root is tech services, right? They teach them how to, fix stuff from the Chromebooks, and then later it's really cool seeing how a intern that took that internship in the summer, they share it with their friends, right? So, or even in the internship, right? They're like, hey, I know. I see that you're struggling with keyboards. Let me show you my trick, right? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe if I do this too, I can also, if I tweak it a little bit, maybe that'll work for me, just like my partner next, that's also struggling with keyboards. Maybe I could teach them too. So it's really cool seeing how, they get taught by technicians with tech services, but they also learn from each other too, and then they pass that knowledge into their family members and into their friends, right? And they all just have each other's little tweaks to it, and I feel like when they all have different ideas, different hacks, that's how community grows, within our program.
Yeah. And that very much mirrors, Peter, what an actual Fixit clinic is like as well, right? People are bringing different expertise to every item.
Oh, and absolutely, right. But I'm all about trying to encourage that sort of skill sharing and cross training, so that everybody knows how to do everything. So there's other models where there's this idea of you have specialty repairers who are good at electronics or good at sewing or whatever. I want every Fixit coach to know how to solder and every Fixit coach to know how to thread a sewing machine.
And Samantha, one thing that you mentioned in some of the conversations we were having before this event was how some of your students have really internalized the ethos, I think, of Right to Repair, and that some of them are like, wait, why are we throwing those laptops away? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there comes to a point where a Chromebook it will work, right? It will be in perfect condition, but it won't longer update. So those we have to e-waste, and it took some time for students to understand why are we throwing it, right? Because they've, after working with so many computers, that passion grows, right? That passion for computers and saving as many computers grows within themselves. So having to understand, like, okay, this works, but it will longer update, so we can't use it in classes anymore. It definitely built some frustration within our students, but thankfully, now that Google has extended that warranty, it's definitely going to save us a lot of money, and it's also going to reduce a lot of e-waste, which is great. So,
and we can extend the life of them by converting them into general purpose laptops.
That's correct.
So we've got a couple of examples in the back of the room to show you of Chromebooks that have been expired that are now totally useful.
Yeah, we've worked with Peter where we give these expired computers to Peter, and also Peter has come into our high schools too to teach our interns how to convert them
give them
from
to me, hand them over.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because underlying this entire conversation is the state of our environment, right? Climate change.
Right.
Liz, I wonder if we have any sense of what this kind of legislation and what this movement can actually do to help our climate and be a solution in some way to climate change.
Yeah, I mean, the problem of electronic waste is huge, just overwhelmingly huge. The little factoid that I don't know, it's really stuck with me. If you took 1 year of US e-waste and put it on one side of the scale, and every single blue whale alive today on the other, the e-waste would be heavier. So in a year, we're we're outpacing the whales. Repair is just one tool to stopping that problem. We need to buy less. We need to make less. But repair helps us get there. And I think as a society, we're not willing to accept giving up technology. Technology brings us so many awesome, cool, amazing things. And so we need to find a way to balance that. And I think being able to fix what we already have, make it last as long as it possibly can is hugely important to slowing that tide of e-waste.
And Azul, what was it like for you to report on right to repair? And I guess how does reporting on this change maybe how you're thinking about climate change and how we, solve this really big, overwhelming problem? Has it?
Yeah, I think repair's been something that's been always present in my life, as something that I've aspired to. I was an environmental studies major in college, so like zero waste and that kind of thinking has always been part of what I'm inspired by. I think that Peter would say like it's incumbent on all of us to make anything that we have last as long as possible because of what's going on with the climate and environmental issues. By keeping something out of a landfill or repairing something, it really pays dividends because we're not only saving the resources that went into making that thing that would have otherwise been thrown away, but we're also not expending resources on buying something new. And then we're also, I think going back to this culture idea, like instituting this culture of repair, right? Where it's a can-do attitude. It's I can fix this, and that's really contagious, not only in your own life but into others. So I think, the right to repair movement is certainly inspiring and a piece of the goals of lessening our carbon footprint.
Saving the planet one broken toaster at a time.
And everyone's had a broken toaster, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Peter, it does strike me that we are talking about this in the Bay Area, which is also the home of Silicon Valley, the home of some of these companies, these manufacturers that we're talking about. How do you think about reconciling those two things?
So it's the home of innovation. And so I think a lot about how we take this, and if we're ever going to get to a coming circular economy, imagine that more and more of what we consume has to be locally made. It has to be designed, built, serviced, and maintained in a local area using locally available tools, materials, processes, and services. And so when I hear that Samantha's students are interrogating their Chromebooks, I think, so maybe they can design the future Chromebook that is ultra repairable, or maybe they can design the software that takes them out of Google's enterprise enrollment ecosystem and allows for Oakland Unified School District to run its own cloud services for its schools rather than having to depend on Google's, and then they can keep their Chromebooks working forever. And so to spur that kind of innovation, it's counter to the global mass manufacturing world that we have at the moment. But imagine that the future really is hyper-local, that most of what we have is mass customization and manufacturing on demand. So one quick example, imagine that the next time you buy a toaster, instead of pressing buy and then it comes from overseas via Amazon, that instead a digital file propagates to all sorts of little micro factories in the region. And I'm not sure what that region is. Is it Northern California? Is it Western United States? But then it's either assembled for you, all the parts from the micro factories are assembled, or it comes to you and you assemble it yourself. And it's your bespoke toaster. So this is mass customization of these sorts of things. And then, like, if 3 years from now the toaster breaks, you have the digital file for that part. So you send it off to the microfactory to be made again, and it comes back and snaps in, and you're good to go. Or, assumedly some sort of continuous integration has been applied to that part, so it's more durable than the part that was originally broke. So it gets better and better over time. So that's a vision, and I think if we can create that kind of vision with the innovation that we have in Northern California, that can be an example for all sorts of other regions of the world.
Liz, do you have a sense of what it might take to get to that kind of future?
Well, we are seeing some companies really innovate in that space. Framework Laptop, for instance, has made a laptop that's made to be taken apart, and it has QR codes on every part that take you to a guide for replacing that part. and they really have repair built into their ideology. The laptop comes with the one screwdriver you need to do repairs on it. And I think they've proved that you can do that in something that looks like, a slim, light laptop that you can slip into your bag easily and you want to carry around with you. It doesn't have to be a compromise to choose repairable design. And so I'm hopeful when I see things like that. It's not quite this micro factory vision, but I think we're making steps in that direction, and I'm hopeful that bigger manufacturers are seeing the path that companies like Framework are forging.
Azul, as we're sort of wrapping up here, going back to your reporting on right to repair, what stood out to you about what people seem to love so much about fixing things?
I mean, there's so much to love. I don't know. It's what do people love about it fixing things? I mean, I think that there's sort of an innate desire within all of us to fix things. I mean, I think this is a quote I'm cribbing from Peter again, but humans are innate fixers, and it's in our DNA to want to fix things. And in this day and age, it's very easy to forget that this idea that throwing something away and buying new is better than fixing is a very new philosophy. I mean, for the vast majority of humans' lives, we've been fixers. We've been repairing things. We've been mending and making things go till the very last, till it can't go anymore. And so I think that's through repair, we're all sort of connecting with something that's very innate and primal within us. And yeah, so I think when you go to a Fixit Clinic, that's really what you're seeing. I mean, the joy and the excitement is contagious. People leave elated. They leave feeling empowered. They leave, knowing how to do something that they didn't know before. I mean, there's a really intimidating KitchenAid mixer sitting there on that table. But when it's like a superpower, right? If you can take it apart and make that ghost in the machine start going again, I mean,
It's a flex.
it's a flex.
Yeah.
For lack of a better
I
word.
fixed that? Yeah, totally. Liz, I want to just wrap up with you here. California now has one of the strongest right to repair legislations in the country, although more have since been passed, right?
Correct, yeah.
Can you talk about how quickly this movement is growing and what people should know here in California, if you're in this room, what rights you now have?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you buy something today in California, that's an appliance or an electronic, you have the right to get the same parts, tools, and documentation that manufacturers authorized techs use. So you should be able to get it yourself, or take it to an independent shop, or take it to a Fixit Clinic and have bring a part with you and talk with the coach about it. And if you try to get a part or tool or documentation and you can't, you can complain to the Attorney General, and they should take up your case. And we have a tool for connecting you with that on repair.org as well. So if you run into problems, let us know, please. But really, I think we're seeing that a lot of manufacturers are seeing the passage of right to repair and starting to make things available to people around the country regardless. But we haven't stopped, and it's only January, but 17 right to repair bills have been introduced nationally so far this year. We're expecting to see maybe another 10 or 15. And we're going to keep pushing until you have the right to fix everything you own, as you should.
Cool. Well, Peter Mui, you're going to stick on stage with me because you've got that very intimidating KitchenAid with your name on it. But I want to give a round of applause, if we can, to all our guests on stage. Thank you so much to Samantha Nunez, Student IT Project Manager at OUSD, Liz Chamberlain, Director of Sustainability at iFixit, and KQED's Azul Dahlstrom-Ekman. Thank you all so much for this conversation. And Peter, you're going to lead us through a thing very special moment
Okay.
over here. I'll have you stand right here, Peter. So we're going to, in front of all of you, sort of try to recreate, get into your mind a little bit, Peter, and how you think about tinkering with these broken items before us here today. But one thing that you always do and you say before you...
So we never short circuit the narrative of the owner, because that often gives us the hints that we need to fix it. Okay, so it's one thing if this just had shown up at the back of a Goodwill or Salvation Army, we wouldn't have really much of an idea of how to even begin. But often when the person who owns the item is there and helpful, that makes all the difference. So if the microwave is here and they say, well, it's totally broken now, but for the longest time I could get it to work by pressing in this corner of the door, that tells us everything we need to know to be able to fix it. So we need the person. Where's the person? Yeah, we need the person.
Well, I'm going to invite to the stage Senior Editor of The Bay, Alan Montecillo. Give him a round of applause. This is Alan's KitchenAid, or...
Well, Alan,
Well,
is it your
sister's.
KitchenAid? Yeah, so
Well, this is my,
us the
hello everyone, wow, this is such a great crowd. This is my sister's KitchenAid. My sister Victoria and her husband Kevin use it. And it was gifted to them by our mother, who actually lives in the Philippines, in 2020. So during sort of the height of COVID, people were baking a bunch in their homes. And Victoria and Kevin got so into baking that they actually wound up starting their own gluten-free baking business called Restriction Kitchen. And so they used this KitchenAid a bunch from 2020 to like 2023. And then about a year and a half ago, I fact-checked this with them before I came up on here, they were making, I think, Swiss meringue to make calamansi curd tarts for my wedding when it stopped working. So,
Okay.
and the issue here, and I mentioned this to Peter before we got on stage, is that when you turn it on here, it's not plugged in now, but you hear sort of a sound, something's happening here, so it's turning on, but the whisk attachment does not move anymore.
Okay.
So something's happening here, it can turn on, but this is not.
So we have a plug. Do you want to just plug it in?
Oh, sure.
All right. So even before this, so what I would think, the wonderful thing about KitchenAid mixers is they've pretty much been the same design for the last 40 or 50 years. And there are spare parts that are readily available. The manufacturer supports this well. So these have a very, very high success rate in terms of being able to repair them. It's a very common thing that when people buy them, they tend to have a situation. They have nylon gears in here that wear out. And so that's what I suspect without unencumbered by the thought process and anything. But the first thing that you might do is go online and look for a disassembly guide for this KitchenAid mixer. And YouTube is your friend. There's wonderful videos of other people who have taken these apart. Spend the time to actually do the research in advance to try and figure out, because it's very likely somebody has already documented the exact same problem that you're having. So we'll just, but we always like to say you have to recreate the symptoms, all right? So we'll do that.
Did I jinx it? Is this going to start working now? I told you about it.
Well, so things get scared. They come to a Fixit Clinic and they think, if I don't work here, the next step's the landfill. So this happens a lot. Things start working again. All right, let's go. Fire in the hole. Hit it. Okay, so it's not doing that KitchenAid thing, right? But it sounds different, right?
You hear something.
All right. So full disclosure, folks, we kind of rehearsed this beforehand.
Whoa.
And before, it was making this horrible grinding noise, right? You could hear it kind of, right? It sounded like an angry, tiger in their tank kind of sound.
So walk us through, Peter. What if we were at a Fixit Clinic right now, which we are? How would you help Alan through?
Well,
this?
we would find some sort of online guide and say, here, follow that to start to disassemble it. Don't just start taking screws out willy-nilly, because therein lies madness. all right? And you'll take out a lot more screws than you need to actually get to what you actually need to do. So I'm thinking at this point, given what Alan described as the symptom, that we kind of have to remove this housing, this upper assembly, in order to look at the gearbox, which is under here, and understand what's actually happening.
Should we
Right.
should we do that?
Well, let's try that. Let's first unplug it, safety first.
Safety first.
All right. And like I said, we rehearsed this, and so there were like a million screws. We tried this about 2 hours ago, and we realized there was no way we were going to do this up on stage in any sort of reasonable amount of time. So we actually removed a ton of screws. So I think, Alan, at this point, what I would, we're doing this for your benefit, okay? But but I would just have him do it. But basically, so remove this clip, this.
This one here?
Yeah, so this had 2 screws holding it. He takes that off. See, we tried to make it all pretty for you, again, but it doesn't come apart nearly this easily, all right?
I mean,
So just put that down.
Yeah, I guess is it pretty? I don't know. There's a lot of junk.
Yeah. I mean, this has been a well-used KitchenAid. It looked beautiful, pristine white before we started with this, all right? So then next thing is yank off that ring there, okay?
This does not come off this easily. I know.
No. We
folks
had to
really-
hammer that off
Yeah.
earlier, just because it was all filled, it was all caked with years and years of cooking.
Meringue.
Yeah,
Can we get a shot of?
Yeah, and by the way, the Swiss meringue was very helpful, that it wasn't Belgian or Flemish meringue, it was Swiss meringue. Right, that was an important hit. And then I guess the next thing is maybe pull off that part
one here?
there. Yep,
Oh
okay.
boy.
Okay, so now we start to see the guts, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay, and then,
Fall over there. It's over the room.
okay, and so I think at this point, we could show them the electronics in the back for fun. Take off the one screw here that we put back to kind of keep it sort of looking together.
This one here.
No, that one on top, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I'm sorry, my hand is now a greasy hand.
Oh, I put some napkins.
No, it's good.
We're going to need these.
Right.
All right, and put that screw. Where's the screw?
It's right here.
Okay. Oh, another hint is I like to use 7-day pill boxes to keep screws in order as you take them out. That sort of helps you know what, because you will end up with thousands of screws and you'll forget. Take lots of pictures too as you're taking it apart, because the way wires are routed inside and stuff, you'll want to know how to put them back properly. All right, so I think at this point you can just go lift the
I
lid.
can just do this.
Okay, drum roll, please.
Oh boy.
Oh, no.
this one here?
Okay, not that. All right, so
Not
take
this
that.
one?
All right, that's okay. So this is the major part of KitchenAid mixers that has changed over time. Okay, is this back area has become a lot more electronics based, right? And so that's something to think about. Like, it used to be mechanical, and some of the fancier ones have more electronics controls back there, harder to fix.
And do you
All
think
right.
the problem is in here, Peter, or
Yes.
back there?
No. Given what he described, I'm pretty sure the problem's up there.
So do I just
Yeah,
yank this off?
I think that was supposed to just come right off.
It's pretty.
He's right. It wedged itself back down because of all the grease.
We never promised to fix things at Fixit.
The thrill of
like-
live, folks. Usually we have to edit the podcast and all that, but
Oh, my standard admonition. All right. So before we start anything, I usually tell people, so you understand anything we do here could make it worse. And if they laugh, I know they're the right kind of person. If they like are in any way hesitant, I'm like, maybe you should go try professional repair. Good luck with that. Okay, so I'm going to have to move to the front here, as I think.
Oh,
oh boy.
there it is.
Why is this? Don, what am I doing wrong? I'm there.
All the fixers.
This is incredible.
Can we help you, Peter?
I don't know.
Is there a screw? Is it this?
No. So those two. So just for those of you, I know, Don, you're chafing at the bit. Do I have to, but what? It should just lift off, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, we're gonna have a guest.
All right.
Okay, everyone, give a round of applause for Daron here. Okay.
Reinforcements.
Reinforcement.
You just need to Christina.
Pull back the power cord.
What happened to it?
There, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I think I found the problem.
No. So these things are actually packed with grease. All right. This grease. So they come. The grease is usually more of a tan color, and it's clear. But this is par for the course. And so part of the repair would be packing the grease. But the other cool thing that Don noticed when he pulled this apart before is that, and I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can get it to the camera. But this whole gear inside is totally chewed up.
Cool.
That gear inside
Thank you so
looks
much,
like
Don.
the teeth of a velociraptor, and it's supposed to look like a gear. So do you see this gear right here? That's totally chewed up. That's totally gone.
So is the solution to replace that?
Yes. So there's an exploded diagram online, some website. You basically say, I want that nylon gear. You order it. You clean all the grease out. You order yourself another tub of grease. You clean this sucker out. You put that gear back in. You repack it with grease, and this thing will literally work like new.
Wow.
This thing will last for another 100 years. Totally maintainable.
What's the best way for me to clean that off?
With your tongue.
It's all you, Alan.
Just paper towel.
No, I mean, just get
standard.
old regular. No,
Yeah.
this is like, all right. So there's gear assemblies out here. Another gear fell off before. We have it somewhere hiding. I mean, it's people say it's not for the faint of heart, but the thing is, this thing is really meant to last forever. Okay, if you put this back together, repack it with grease properly, it won't need this service for another 25 years.
Expensive, so.
Yeah, and so it's really worth it to do this. And so the other trick is that there's a safety mechanism. There's a shear pin inside of here, and the reason why it was making that noise and not turning it anymore because it was overstressed by the Swiss meringue as opposed to the Flemish or the.
Sure.
Okay, and so that pin sheared, and it's supposed to shear because it's a safety mechanism to keep the thing from totally chewing itself up. So down in there you're going to find a broken pin somewhere in that grease, and that's another part that you need to replace.
Okay.
At least.
So 2 parts.
Well, they probably sell the entire nylon gear assembly thing as a kit, and as long as you're in here and doing this, you might as well just replace them all. There's no point in trying to go nuts with this thing. All right, so.
So Alan, you feeling empowered?
Oh, yeah. A little intimidated, but a little more empowered.
Yeah.
Well, Alan Montecillo, senior editor of The Bay, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Peter. You might want to.
I love Peter. And Peter Mui, founder of Fixit Clinic in Berkeley, thank you so much. I think
Okay. All right.
that's all we got for you all, folks. At least the folks on the live stream. I want to wrap up our presentation here on stage and then move into a physical Fixit Clinic. Sorry for the folks who are watching online that you don't get to experience this really cool thing we're about to do. But before I let you all go, I want to tell you all about a live event that KQED is hosting here in the KQED Commons on January 28th. We're hosting a Dungeons and Dragons live event with Forum and Games of Berkeley. You could get your tickets at kqed.org/live. That's again on January 28th, so make sure to check that out. And I want to thank the rest of the podcast team, Jessica Carissa, our producer, who's also in the crowd, and senior editor Alan Montecillo. It's just the 3 of us making this show 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a lot of work, but we do it for local news. And you could find that wherever you get your podcasts. Folks in the room, please stick around. We're going to tinker with some stuff. But for the folks at home, thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.